It's Monday. Y'all already know what time it is. It's time to overreact. It looks like this Deion Sanders and Fran Brown thing is picking up some steam, and we may actually have a real preseason game in the sport. But it's a little bit more to talk about, and there's some politics we got to handle when we talk about that subject. We got not one, but two more arrests for the Georgia Bulldogs every offseason. I feel like we have this episode, and today I have a feeling we absolutely going in on that Georgia Bulldog program. Hey, the great Jared Gray asked a couple years ago, hey, do these guys have a culture problem? I think we beyond a culture problem at this point. Also, we're going to get into this series that we do every offseason where we talk about some awards. And we're going to talk about the Davy O'Brien Award and who we think may win the Davy O'Brien Award. Only on Reaction Monday. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Today I am the governor of college football. Yes, sir. The mayor of college football, a.k.a. Downtown Nino Brown. Yes, sir. It feels like an in-season episode, man. It's so much to talk about, man. Welcome to Overreaction Monday. I am the governor of college football, and with me is a guy that needs no introduction, the mayor of college football downtown, Nino Brown. Also with us today is a guy that pulled a lot of strings behind the scenes, the one, the only, and the senator of college football, Mr. Dennis Noel. How you guys doing tonight?
Not too bad. I appreciate the upgrade. I feel like I'm important now.
You always been important, my man. Always been important.
That's
real quick though, before we get into it, let's give a happy birthday, belated birthday shout out to the governor of college football. Appreciate everything you do, and from what I hear, you had a legendary birthday. So
yeah. It was fun, man. I got to act like a kid. Definitely enjoyed myself. So last week we broke news on this beautiful idea of Coach Deion Sanders wanting to host a spring game versus another program, which would include joint practices. And Fran Brown was one of the first coaches to come in and say, hey, we would love to come to Boulder for 3 days. Both Colorado and Syracuse put action behind these words and officially petitioned the NCAA to allow this event to take place. The NCAA will meet on April 10th. And if the NCAA grants this waiver, we could get this monumental event. Fellas, how you feeling about this event? And do you think the NCAA will grant this waiver? We'll start with the senator of college football. We'll start with D now.
I love it. It's another way to grow the game. Kind of gets the kids ready for the next level. Because I mean, if you're one of the studs, this is what you're going to be doing in the off season or preseason, I should say. In the NFL, there's always teams joint practices. Whether those are a good thing or a bad thing is a different story. But it's just another tool of getting them actual reps that are meaningful. And like I said, getting them ready for the next level. Especially with guys like Prime and Fran Brown, those are some of the bigger names in college football now. So I think it's going to be kind of electric. So,
yeah, I agree. I think that point you just kind of summed it up with. You have two electric personalities in the game, guys that have swagger, for lack of a better term, and carry themselves to a higher standard. Yeah, a higher standard than most coaches out there. And to top it off, they're African American, so they're kind of behind the eight ball to start, and they're having success, right? So kudos to them. I think these two guys leading the push for this is tremendous. I do believe that if this does go through, that you might see more than one. More than one of these games might happen. You might see an HBCU school probably put it together. You might see a couple of schools. Plenty of time, right? If this goes through and you get a decision this week, I think you're going to have plenty of time for another school or a few other schools to be able to get this together. He made a point. Right? You get it's monotonous playing against the same guys, right? Mm-hmm. You made a valid point. We were talking about it last week. You're getting these true freshmen or guys who have been there, redshirt juniors and stuff that really haven't got any rep. That all right, now this is my time to show out against some legit competition, right? I'm not just going against Johnny Joe Schmo that I've been, being on practice squad or scout team for the last 2-3 years. You know what I mean? I'm going against a dude that's fighting for a position or maybe a starter on the other team. So I love it. And then the thing I brought up, and I truly believe this would help all around. We always talk about these cupcakes, right? Playing Circuit City University, Kmart U, and this and that. Instead of those, $1 million layup games to start the season, here's your spring game. Boom. Alabama A&M versus Alabama, right? All of a sudden, everybody gets their money. Everybody gets their televised thing. You kick off the spring the right way. And now week 1 or week 0, we're not having, the slaughter fest here where it's 65-3. And it's a bad game. It's a bad game in the spring. People are getting eyes on them. Schools that aren't normally looked at are going to get looked at. And it's the spring. So you're probably going to get more guys because at that point, they're itching. We're itching for some football, right? So you're going to get the media. You're going to get the outlets there. I absolutely love it. I think this is the future. We've heard a few people talk about it in the community, in the media. I don't see what's wrong with it. Like, I really don't. Yes, sometimes the NFL games get a little bit more, let's see, rowdy, as we could say. But I think with the NCAA, I think they can kind of nip that in the bud. And if it doesn't, and if it gets out of hand and you get some of these fights earlier, all right, well, penalize. You know what I mean? You start penalizing it and finding these universities. I think they're going to pull back on letting these kids, get a little out of hand. So I'm all for it. Like I said, we would need, like, this week, maybe by Sunday, Monday, an answer. And then what I was saying about maybe other schools getting in on this, I think is possible because we've already seen other schools say, yo, Dion, my phone's open. You know what I mean? So Prairie View, I believe, right? Prairie View coach had mentioned he would like to play. So, yeah, I think it's an opportunity, and they're kicking the door in. So these guys that push the buttons behind the scenes have caught a lot of shitty slack, nothing that they didn't deserve. But I think this is kind of a way of putting the peanut butter on the fire here, right? And smoldering and making you look a little bit better in the light because you're giving the people, the fans, the guys who put the money in your pockets what they want. They want to see this. So if you were to grant them that, I think a lot of the hoolah that they get for stupid stuff they do, they might kind of silence that for a little bit.
To piggyback on what both of you guys were saying, we are in this weird space in the sport where teams are tired of getting their players tampered with, so they don't even want to have a true event. They want to kind of do something for the fans, and this is something that Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss started last year. So while the sport is going this way, it takes renegades to go this way, like a Dabo Swinney who's calling out these programs who don't want to have real spring games, like a Deion Sanders say, hey, let's turn this into a real preseason thing. I think this is the difference between NFL preseason and college football preseason if we want to compare the two. NFL preseason, you got people trying to vie for 53 spots, so I think it becomes a little monotonous. Where here, you're trying to see what you have down the line. Like these players, like you want to see where your depth is because injury is going to happen. It's a sport with 100% injury, and even further to take it to the next step, guys like you all who do Devi darlings and who are looking for next studs really get the access that you need to say, hey, I remember this spring game, this player did this spring game, this player did that. And you can kind of do predictive analysis like this new metric that Nino has. I can't wait till he releases it to the world. I'm telling you, top tier is going to be the metric that a lot of people are talking about. I can't wait for him to release that information. But I think this is what we're going to get with that game. And it's only good for the fans, but it's also good for, like I said, you guys who are always looking into these players. Like you guys are studying them. Damn, I saw an 8th grader the other day. God damn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you guys are like into it. So I think this is great for, for that. So anything else you guys want to add? Do you guys think that NCAA will grant them?
I think so. Like I think they want a positive thing in their pocket.
We've been highly critical of Charlie Baker. We've been highly critical of the NCAA. I think it got to a point last year where the NCAA said, "This is what y'all want. Y'all want free for all?
Yeah, okay. Go get it."
Yeah, so I think they right, and I think they will grant it. I'm interested to see how much access we get. Like, are we going to have access of some of the practices? Not all the portions of the practices. But
yeah. Look at the media guys. You know about Fran Brown. Bring him out.
Yeah,
bring ESPN in here. Bring it. You can have a booth in the corner. We'll put it live in the middle of a Saturday afternoon.
I want to see ACC Network out there, and I want to see Fran Brown talking to ACC Network, and I want to see Big 12. Big 12 does have a network, right? I want to see them out there as well. So I think it's good for the sport.
For the people that say, whoa, NFL, you got 3 weeks now, right? It's 3 weeks. Those all joint practices. Sometimes it's 2 different teams. These guys are battling for 3 straight weeks in preseason. These guys got 1 game, man.
Right. That's it. And then it helps, teeter the depth charts heading into fall camp. I think it's a beautiful idea.
QB battles don't have to
Right.
go to August, bro.
Exactly.
They'll solidify them right now.
And it's so much further away from the season that, God forbid, if there is an injury, you do have time to heal before the season starts. So I think this is going to become something that's the norm moving forward. And I'm here for it. And I think the NCAA will grant the waiver as well. All right. Y'all ready for this? I wish we could have Boomer on for this episode.
I wanted him to come on.
I would just go solo the Boomer, and so he can say I told you so. Another offseason, which means more arrests for the Georgia Bulldog program. Sophomore wide receiver Nitro Tuggle was arrested early Thursday morning for speeding and reckless driving. Both Nitro Tuggle and Marquise Easley have been suspended indefinitely. I think we're past the point of UGA football.
Here we go again.
Yeah, I think we're past that point that UGA football has a culture problem. We remember the great tidbit. Boomer asks if Stetson Bennett does Georgia have a culture problem? And of course, he's a company guy. No, they 100% got a culture problem. But I want to take it a step further. Should the NCAA investigate this Bulldog program and impose sanctions if they can't clean up their image? I know we have NIL. I know players are played for their name, image, and likeness. These are still student athletes. They're still getting a free education. They're still getting housing. Like this is not a good look. Like and you're starting to see the students at UGAs speak out on this. Like, yo, they got to clean this up. So let's start. We started with Dino last time. We'll start with you this time, Dino.
27 arrests over the past 2 years. Only 24 wins. You got more arrests than you got wins. 27 arrests, 18 guys to the NFL. Like you're getting more guys arrested than you are in any other positive category for your team. 80% of these arrests are motor vehicles, bro. In a day and age where Uber, Lyft, there is so many opportunities, and a school has their own driving services for a lot of these. So there is really no excuse for the boy drove into the front door of a building. Like Jalen Carter, God rest, we had a death. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Last season, there was a damn near kidnapping hostage situation in the school. But Davis, like nothing. It just fell on deaf ears. Yeah, he got cut from the team, but that happens at Auburn. What happens? That happens at Grambling State. What happens to those guys, right? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't just get swept under the rug and you walk away with it. You're not part of the team the whole year. You know what I mean? And they get dropped at the end. If I go back, say, it's 2025, 25, 30 years, Miami got fined, suspended, whacked, taken away from both. Everything they got ran through the ringer for the stuff that they did. For the rest of those guys were going getting, cocaine and partying and drugs and all that. These guys are they get slapped on the hand and they ain't learning. Like you know what I mean? Like, you can only it's two cheeks. After you turn both cheeks, what do? You turn around and show them your ass? They're showing you their ass. You know what I mean? They know they feel like they're above the law, for lack of a better term. And Kirby Smart just kind of let it happen. Like he just kind of said something this week and came out and suspended him indefinitely because I think he knew he had no choice. I think the university said, "Yo, homie, this is 3 years, bro. The last 2 years have been shitty, real shitty. You got to address it." I don't know what they do here. There's got to be a fine. I don't know if it's just they have to be cut. I would think, right? The suspended indefinitely, I don't think is anything. Yeah. Like, what's indefinitely for the rest of the year? And you stay on the team, and you get to go to school for free, and you get your NIL money and whatever. No, that don't work. You know what I mean? Cut these kids. Learn your lesson. See you later.
Yeah, I'm there with you. There's got to be something. Whether it's Kirby suspended for X amount of games.
Right.
Players immediately kicked off the team, even if it's as little as, hey, if you come to the University of Georgia, stay the fuck away from a vehicle. Like you are not allowed to be in a vehicle unless it's a coach-driven vehicle or some sort of team vehicle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stay away from the vehicle. But I will say, on the same side, winning does cure a lot of things.
For sure.
And that is something Georgia has done. Yes, this year was a down year for them, but I mean, my school, that would be an excellent year. So
your school's not bringing in, $500 $1 million in the course of a 10-year span. So
that's true. But winning does cure everything. And at the same time, 25, 30 years ago, or I'll even go 40 years ago in the 80s with Miami's earlier version of it, everyone loves a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I
For
think
sure.
this is the NCAA's version, this right now, of the bad guy. Everyone loves to hate on someone. So if everything is just dumping on Georgia, that's also just giving Georgia the more publicity and more
Yep.
exposure to all these kids. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, that's for you to decide. But so I could see both sides. I'm not saying what they're doing is okay, because it's absolutely not. But from a business aspect, it's eyes.
I got a question. I understand what you're saying, and I to look at the spectrum, both sides. I get it. If this was Ann Harbor and it was Jim Harbaugh as the coach, you think 27 arrests would be okay? You don't think he would have caught a suspension already, and some of these kids would have got caught on the spot?
Oh, you 100% would have.
They've win. They have recency win bias here, right? Like they have.
No, yeah. No, I get you, but it's at the same time, it's the SEC.
Mhm.
It's the moneymaker.
They got the
for all
balls.
of- Yep.
They control, right?
Like, okay, you want to blacklist one of the true blue bloods of college football? There goes all that money with it.
SEC is working their monster hands in all sports. 16 teams, advancing to the second
That's a
round
joke.
of the college basketball. Like
Mhm.
lowest seed is a 10, right? Like
Yeah.
it's you can see what's happening. It's
massive.
yeah, and if they go to 16 teams in this playoff, you're going to see probably 7 teams at least from the SEC, 6 teams around there. It's something you just got to get ready for. I just don't know. I mean, it's got to open up more people's eyes, right? That this SEC school, yes, they're winning, but these kids are doing whatever the hell they want to do behind a vehicle, whether it's drunk driving, whether it's reckless driving, speeding, driving into houses, whatever. Vehicular homicide, whatever it is, they're getting away with it with simple slaps on the hand. At some point, there has to be. You said that, the publicity. How about this kid that's a troubled kid that's a 5-star, right? That, maybe 10 years ago might not have still got these offers if he was, handling himself like this. It's like, dude, I can continue to be me as long as I'm performing on the field and Georgia keeps winning. I can do whatever the hell I want. Yeah, I'm going to Georgia, bro. You know what I mean? Where you probably wouldn't have got that opportunity 10 years ago because this wasn't something that was allowed. Now it's just allowed. Now it's the norm. It's not really. It is what it is. We're just turning on. In a day or two, 48 hours, nobody's going to remember it.
But then at the same point, if you think about it, that needs to trickle, or I guess not even trickle, that needs to go up. Too, because the NFL is also rewarding these kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jalen Carter was picked top 10 while he was still under investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So they're also sending that message, hey, we don't care as long as you can win us games on the field. You do whatever you want to do outside of the gridiron. But so, I mean, it may have to come down to a joint effort between college football, NFL. Hell, even sometimes they go to Congress for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Throw out the senator tag or anything like that. But it may take higher powers than the NCAA to say, hey, this is what we got to do.
Why is no other coach speaking out about it, though? I don't know, nobody. Not a single person has opened his mouth. So it makes me think other schools are just better at covering this shit up.
Right. Possibly. Can we talk about it from a parental perspective? You both have kids. Georgia is interested in your child going there. As parents, it's not just, okay, yes, you can help my son get to the next level, but can I trust you to be that parent, what I'm saying, while I'm not there? Can I, yes, these are young adults, but they still need supervision. Like, with that aspect in mind, like, how comfortable would you guys be sending your kids to go play football at Georgia? Yes, we know that Kirby can get them to the NFL, but I'm not gonna be able to see everything if you live in Massachusetts and you live in Ohio. You just not gonna be able to see everything. So how comfortable would y'all be sending y'all kids to this program?
I think for me, not to speak for Dino, but for me, it would kind of be, where is my kid at mentally? Right? What has he done leading up to the day? Does it seem like he's gotten himself into the wrong crowd before and made mistakes? Does it seem like he's got his head on the right shoulders? It's like, yeah, he can say no. You know, there's some kids that just can't say no to peer pressure. If my son, is a strong-minded kid and willed kid, and he's like, yeah, I'm all set, dude. That doesn't bother. Go to USC, go to Georgia, go wherever you want, dude. Because I know, it's not that I raised him right. He absorbed what I gave to him as tools, and now he's made good decisions as a young adolescent, young man, that I could trust that, yeah, he's not going to do something stupid like that because he hasn't proven to me that or shown me anything prior to now. Kid that might have got arrested, done some stupid things recently, keeps kind of hanging around the wrong people. Sometimes they say taking those, away from the situation and putting them somewhere else is better, but not if the type of people in the other place that he's going to are there. You know what I mean? Like, hey, he's from, middle of the country. He's not doing well here. Let's send him to Georgia. He's got the talent. Maybe then you just setting him around guys that are similar to where he was around. And now, he's right back in the same boat. But for me, it would be where my kid at mentally and how he's done leading up to that. You know what I mean? Before I would step in and say, he's also going to be an adult. At 18, I kind of have to take my hands off of it. You know what I mean? I can guide him. I can give him advice and think, hey, do you think this is smart to put yourself into those situations since you've had issues with this type of, things before? Or do you think, this school down here, they may not be top 5, but they're top 15. Their coaches seem to keep these kids more in line. Maybe they don't got 29 people to the NFL in the last 2 years, but they got 17. They got 12. You're going to get the eyes. At that point, it's got to be how you raised your kid and how your kid has absorbed it, at that point.
And for all the flack that Dabble Sweeney gets, you don't really see this with this program. Like, I've been around that program enough. Moon has been around that program enough. You see, it's a reason why they have the highest graduation rate. It's a reason why they're able to keep a lot of these kids for 2, 3, and 4, sometimes 5 years. You see it. But D, now, same question to you. Like, would you be comfortable sending your kid to this program?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Nino. I'd like to see where they're at kind of mentally. And then also, I hate to bring this up, but it is also a product of kind of where they're at too, like where they're being raised and all that, because a lot of them, it's like, hey, we'll give you $5 million to come to Georgia. And the sad thing is a lot of those families could use, I mean, even if it's 50,000, 100,000,
never saw that.
Yeah, those families could use that. It would be the lifeline they need in some points. So they're immediately just jumping to that. But again, I would be, as a father, I wouldn't trust my boys as of right now where they are. Like, if they had to,
that's real.
Be like, Georgia's not for you, buddy. We're gonna go look at Ann Arbor or East Lansing if we have to, because I know, or at least the old coaches, they wouldn't put up with that crap.
Right.
Like, hell, I'll drive you across the country to go play for Lincoln Riley if I have to.
Right.
To keep you out of Georgia.
Right.
But yeah, and also as a coach, like, I feel, and I'm sure Kirby's a father himself, so it's like he has to be that extension of a father, and be like, hey, dude, you are heading down a dangerous path right now, and like, your parents can't be here, so if you ever need anything, like, you're gonna make some, like, I'm your parent right now,
call me,
you come to me, and absolutely, you need a ride or anything like that, like, call me, because you're gonna throw away your life doing all this stupid stuff. So I mean, not to get off topic, but he's failing them as an adult, like, coach aside, he's failing them. So
no, I agree 100%.
It's weird because they have those school sessions, they have those accountability pieces as it pertains to making sure your scholastics are straight and making sure that you're ready to play on the field and that you're mentally prepared when you're on the field. But it's just a lack of some type of loophole, like, and it always happens in the off season. Like, I just don't get it. Like, this is our 4th time talking about this. Like, it's getting frustrating.
It comes down to, like, maybe I'm reaching here, but it might be like an adrenaline sort of like addiction,
living on the edge.
Like, this is the only way they can keep that high up from being premier athletes like that during the offseason, which is sad if that's the case.
And the two topics that we just talked about, just talk about, and I don't know more what Kirby's done for the kids. I've seen what he hasn't done, for the kids. You got guys like Fran Brown in the first segment saying in the last interview that every dude on his team is leaving with an LLC in his name when he like it's not about just football. Right. At somebody, Deion's setting up these kids. If you can't make it to the NFL, I'm going to set you up in the right places with the right people to be successful.
Right.
4 points. Like his GPA is going up 2 points every year. A team GPA at Colorado since he's been there. You can say what you want about Deion and what he does, but these kids are becoming grown men with life lessons that they're learning. Where football ain't always going to be there and it ends. These coaches have set them, which is what Dino said, are supposed to do. Be that father figure for these kids when you can't be there. Right. They're setting these guys up the right way. I don't know what Kirby's doing, but what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, it don't look good to me.
At all. And I appreciate you guys' honesty and being extremely candid with this conversation, because a lot of people don't want to touch it. It's a huge brand. They mean a lot to the sport. They make a lot of money for the sport. But at some point, the accountability has to happen. And I would love for the NCAA to get involved, honestly, and do their due diligence to make sure, like, one kid lost his life a few years ago, because of this. We need to make sure that never happens again. Like, impose some sanctions. Happening. Right. And it like you said, it's the same exact thing. Like, at some point, like, when are we going to get involved? When are we going to cut some scholarships? When are we going to let them know we're not having it? Like, this is it's
the money that Georgia gives to the league.
Right. That's when it gets ugly and the politics get involved. So let's do some Monday evening quarterback. I'll name a program and you all name who your projected starting quarterbacks will be. And will that person be the starting quarterback for the duration of the season? Let's start off in Eugene, Oregon. Who's their starting quarterback? Let's start with D now.
Dante Moore, whole season.
Ooh.
Dante Moore, whole season.
I like that. So
I want to say so. I think guys like Austin Novosad and these guys that stick around. I think yes, they probably get calls to go somewhere else. But I think what you're going to start to see a lot of is they're going to stick around and learn under the tutelages of these coaches at Oregon for a year or two. And maybe if it's not their time, then they can take what they've learned and go be a star somewhere else. Where if they were to go, they're learning from the Malachi Nelson experience, bro. They're learning from the Malachi Nelson experience. They don't want to, hey, I think I got it. I don't got it. I tear down. Oh, maybe I have, maybe you don't need, maybe go sit, bro. Maybe chill out for a little bit. Look at Dante Moore. He thought he had it, came back home and sat for you. No problem, bro. I'm going to learn. And now it's got it locked up. Like it's his no matter what. I think that learning from this, I truly believe these people at Eugene you're gonna see a lot of these 4 and 5 stars are gonna sit for you, maybe even 2, and then you'll see them transfer out if it's not their time.
I think that's beautiful, and that's how programs are truly built. Let's head down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Who will be their starting quarterback?
Austin Mack. Ooh. And I think for the reason was I've never had any trust in Ty Simpson. It's 3 years of you can't cut it when they've had controversy in quarterbacks for 2 straight years, right? Jalen Miller got benched, whatever you want to say, for a game and a half, and he struggled in the time he was there. I don't know if Keelan Russell weight-wise is ready. Maybe he's ready. I don't know at what his weight is, but I think if he's under 200 pounds, it might be a problem for him. His size, you know what I mean? I think that they might be nervous. Plus, Mac's familiar with the DeBoer Sheridan system. It's coming from Washington, so like he already know they recruited him. They brought him in there. He was going to be their guy there, right? And then they all left, and he was the first guy they took with him besides Bernard. Austin Mack went there, so like he sat there for a year, learned all the new variations of what they wanted to switch up. From what I'm hearing. People want to talk about, Russell. And this kid is like lighting it up right now in spring. So I'm gonna go with Mac, and I think he holds it all because I think if he wins the job, it's for the fact that Russell's physicality isn't there yet. Like his physical attributes aren't there for him to take the field without risk of injury. I mean, everybody's got risk of injury, but you're not trying to send a kid out there. You know what I mean? Like look at Mookie Betts, for instance. I know it's a switch of sports. Dude weighs 180, weighs 155 pounds. Like. if he was healthy, they wouldn't roll him back out there. Like they would have to wait until he's, you know what I mean? So I feel as though due to the size of Keelan Russell, I think all the talent's there. Like, he's a guy. He's going to be a dog in this class. I just don't think he's ready physically to take over.
Yeah, so Ty Simpson wasn't even a thought for me. We've seen that, and it just wasn't good enough. I have Austin Mack as well. I will throw. I think Keelan Russell does get on the field because Bama drops some games, and I think that pressure to put him on there, sort of like Florida did last year, is why he'll start some games. So I won't give Austin Mack the whole season, but he's going to be the starter for a majority of the season.
I like it. Let's stay in the great state of Alabama and go to Auburn. Who will be their starting quarterback? Let's start with Dina.
I have Jackson Arnold for the whole season.
Right there. Barring injury, I don't think anybody takes it. I think the who's the 5-star kid they brought in?
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I can't. Deuce Knight, right?
Deuce Knight.
Yes,
yeah,
Deuce
Knight.
So he's a dog. He's a kid. I don't think he's going to beat out either one of Jackson Arnold or Ashton Daniels, right? Who's the backup from Sanford. So I think Jackson Arnold's got a chip on his shoulder. Jackson Arnold's got something to prove. But now he's not in an offense where he's the guy running the ball all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I could not understand at Oklahoma why he was leading. He had the most attempts 3/4 of the way through the season. He had why is your quarterback, whose main job is to throw the ball, is your leading rusher on the team? Everything in Oklahoma was upside down. I think it was just a bad situation. He needed to get out of there. He got out of there. I think we're going to see the Jackson Arnold that we thought we would see coming out, the Gatorade National Player of the Year. You're going to just get ready. Get ready, get your popcorn, put your seatbelt on, because everything you thought you were going to get at Oklahoma, you're going to get it over.
Yeah. With stud wide receivers.
Everything's loaded. With an offensive line, with a full-body coaching staff. Like, bro, their offensive coordinator pretty much sat down halfway through the year at Oklahoma. They had no wide receivers whatsoever by week 5. This kid's getting an upgrade all the way around, bro. He got Beyonce. He got upgraded. He's good.
Yeah.
I love it. And shout out to Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze strong. I think that's definitely going to build team morale, and they're going to be ready this season. Let's stay in the other conference, Mississippi State. Who's the starting quarterback? Nino.
Blake Shapen, but he is on a very short leash.
Extremely short.
I'm going to go with Cromwell could probably be QB1 by 5. By week 5, if things because you got 2 kind of cupcakes in there. I think Alcorn State's in there somewhere in the first 4 weeks. I don't think you play a heavy duty ranked team to like week 4, and then week 5 or week 6 is Tennessee. So it's like, I think if he don't have really good numbers and they're not 3-1, 4-0 by week 5, I think they might make the switch because this kid's going to be on his neck. I'm not a fan of him, but I think they obviously were a fan of him. He wasn't in the portal very long. I think it was 48 hours, and he was already committed to Mississippi State. So
he lit it up last spring too. We were hopeful for him heading into the season
when he came in the games at the end when DJU was all done. When DJU experience was done, it was a game and a half. I know everybody. It was a piecework team, but I didn't see anything that was like, whoa, wow. Right. You know what I mean? So. Again, he wasn't working with a full arsenal, so I won't hold that against him. But I wasn't a Chromo guy, Chromo coming out of high school. They give you the top 20. There's guys you don't like. He was one guy. I didn't think he was bad. Just wasn't my flavor.
Yeah, I'm with you. Almost to a T. I have Blake Shapen in 6 games is in my notes. Totally injury. He can't stay healthy.
No.
And it's going to be a long year for Mississippi State again.
I think he gets fired. Levy's gone. Last year's shit and the controversy he came into, something's wrong with that school because there was the coach before him was a one and done, lied to the quarterback. Levy, from what I heard from other people, from beat writers as well down in Mobile, that shit down in Mississippi State was disaster last year, internally and externally.
Wow.
And if it ain't any better this year and they don't have a winning record, how many, dude, their whole wide receiving class that came in 2024 hit the portal. They were there for 1 year. All 3 of them, 2 4-stars and a 3-star. Bounce, bro.
And then your stud QB, too, left.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody left. Oh, yeah.
Van Buren?
He left.
Yeah.
Dude, they went to Old Miss. Like, they transferred to in-state
Yeah.
schools, bro. Like, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, that's rough. Let's head to Columbus, Ohio State. You guys can say it together. I got.
Why are we having this conversation? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's truly insane. 100%. Twice on Saturday, 3 times on Sunday. They're saying his arm looks stronger and faster than it did when he came in out of high school, which I didn't even know was possible. The kid's just dicing it up.
Yeah, saying easy.
Yeah. Let's go to the great state of Virginia, Lynchburg, Liberty.
I got Ethan Vasco just because I feel he fits the system better. He's more mobile than that Berger. So I went with Vasco.
Matt Berger has 0 experience, right?
Yeah,
like,
well, that too, yeah.
Ethan Vasco showed when I get thrown in the fire because my QB's injury prone and I'm the third option and we're running it down, I can get it done. When you let me run the show for a whole season, if I can stay healthy, I'm a dual threat QB who can make those throws. He may not have all the throws in his arsenal, right? He sometimes kind of, those tight window throws, maybe 50-50, right? Maybe it sails a little bit, but that's something you can kind of dial down a little bit depending on the scheme offense you run. But he does do well, with decision making. He has a good cadence in the pocket. Like I said, dual threat. I like his deep ball. I think in that Liberty system, you might get a better product than you got out of Caden Salter last year with Ethan Vasco this season. I think the kid's.
I think he's got a better arm.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Ethan Vasco is underrated. I think he's going to now he's going to be under more eyeballs. I think you're going to start hearing more about Ethan Vasco, this season.
Mm-hmm. I think that Jamie Chadwell gets the job done. I think they go crazy in CUSA this year, and maybe he's able to make that jump from G5 to P4.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is a stepping stone. And I don't feel. I kind of feel bad saying this because I said it before, but I feel like Liberty is a lily pad school.
It is.
Well, I mean, Vasco was good. He started at Kansas, so obviously he's got P5. I mean, back when Kansas wasn't Kansas, but
right.
So I mean, obviously he's got P4 potential.
Right.
So.
I love it. Let's talk about it. Nino segued this great earlier. UTEP. Let's talk about UTEP a little bit.
All right. So hear me out. I truly think that Skylar Locklear wins the job. I think it's fourth year in Scotty Waldman's system, right? This is the 4th year, 2nd year at UTEP, but the 4th year in the system. He knows the offense better. Hey, not for nothing. I know it's only been 3 practices. 3 practices with the third team for Malachi Nelson. That's all I'm saying. 3 practices with the third team to start the spring off. That's all I am saying. And the only reason that he's not QB3 is because Cade McConnell's still recovering from shoulder surgery from the offseason. Like, I don't know what to tell you here. Maybe he figures it out, and by mid-year, he takes over. But if they're at 500 and Locklear is having somewhat of a season like he had last year, barring injury, right? And I don't see him getting many opportunity to play this year. I think it's a learning experience for him again. And I think that this kid that knows the offense, I don't think he's ready to give it up. I think it's going to go out in the sunset, in his last season under the Scotty Waldman offense. And then maybe if there's a couple blowout games where they're winning blowouts or they're losing in a blowout, maybe they put Nelson in it to get a little bit of experience here and there. But I don't think Nelson starts the game until it's a bowl game, bro.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I also have Locklear. I wanted to go with McConnell, but with the shoulder, I didn't think he'd be ready, so I'm going to go with Locklear.
They kept trying to force him in there last year. Like, Locklear would have games where he was like sub 50% throwing, and then they would put McConnell in there, and then it would be like they would split time in that game, right? And then they'd go back to Locklear. They always went back to end up going back.
Yeah, he's their guy.
He knows the offense better. He runs it the best out of all 3 of them. So I got it. I got to stick with the senior. I think it's going to be him. And like I said, I don't think that Malachi Nelson starts the game until it's bowl season.
I don't even think he starts then.
Woo!
You got to ride the hot hand if you made a bowl game.
I mean, if it's 6, it's not that hot. You
still got to do the dance.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
What's next with Malachi Nelson if he's not starting here?
Alcorn State.
No. The
I
last
just
guy that
threw a
went to
school
Alcorn,
because I heard you say that earlier.
you know what
City
he's at
University.
Alcorn State? He's going to be doing what the guy from Alcorn State's doing now, putting his face in a fucking ice bowl with lemons, bro. Because that's what that dude's doing now. He's putting his face, he's showing my morning routine.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, bro. Let's head up to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Who's their starting quarterback, D now?
I got Mikey Keene to start, but as soon as Chirpin starts, Underwood.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the buyout's so small that you got to go with a big name. Yeah.
I think so. I honestly think Mikey Keene holds this. If you look at his numbers, right, he's a very accurate passer, right? Over 67%, I think, both years. I think last year was 70%. You know what I mean? That was coming off the injury, so we weren't really sure who he was going to be. Mm-hmm. If he can get the interceptions to under double digits, I think Keene could. Keene is the kind of the right guy. Has nothing really to prove. I don't know if he's an NFL quarterback, right? But he's a dude who's been around for a while, has that experience. Now he's finally getting eyes on him. I think he's the guy that would be a perfect transition for Underwood. Now, hey, if you got shit in the bed and you're 3-3, going into week 7, why not get him some experience? But if you're 5-1 and even if you're just barely winning games, 3 points, 10 points, I think Keene, I think that's what Keene can do. He don't have to be the guy at Fresno State that has to chuck the ball around all over the field. He can be a manager in a system that's surrounded by some backs. Maybe they don't have experience, but he has some big backs in that room and a big O-line up front. I think Keene can hold the job. Again, if they're winning, they stop being mediocre.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, if they start, all the rumbles start, then they're going to go to the big.
Why not? That's because that makes everything go away.
Yeah.
Like the lag way, Yep.
Let's head down to Texas State. Going to be their starting quarterback.
This is probably against consensus, but I think Nate Yarnell wins the job there. The Pitt transfer.
I think we feel the same.
Because, I do think McCoy gets in there because he's a dual threat. So there'll be packages for him because he's really good with the run game and off-platform throws. I think Holden Garini is the QB of the future. Like, I don't think after this year they hit the portal for a quarterback for the next 2 seasons. I think that's their guy. They're going to let him learn in their offense for a season, right? Then both of these guys will be gone, and then it'll be Holden Green for 3 years of eligibility. Let's ride off with our big arm, put up, 65 plays per game, put up 40 points. So I think that Yarnell, he was the starter, right? Going into the season with Pitt, and then Eli Holston just got hot as a pistol. So they had to ride the hot hand. But the kid has it. He has the legs on him, too. That Texas likes that, right? Back-to-back years, they had both quarterbacks that were mobile. Not crazy mobile, but mobile enough. I think this kid wins the job. And I don't think he loses it.
So this may be one of our first ones that we disagree. I got McCoy solely off his athleticism. He kind of fits what Texas State's had at quarterback the last couple of years. So that's why I went with him.
I don't know if McCoy's got as much talent as the quarterbacks that they've had for the past years. I expected a lot more of him at Oregon State last year, and his numbers were very, very mediocre.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the kid's coming from Idaho. It's not like he's coming from P4 school. He went from Idaho to Oregon State. Now I kind of feel like he went down. I think Oregon State was a better program. Yeah. So I do think it'll be a fight. I do think he'll get time. I just think that Yarnell has more of a polished quarterback. Right?
He's a right now guy.
Yeah, and he could start day one and wouldn't have to figure out what we can run, what we can't run. You get the full playbook with McCoy. I think they kind of have to dummy it down a little bit until he feels comfortable. But I do think he gets time.
I said the College Park, and I think this is going to be Mike Loxley is going to have to get it together this year. So I think so. I think he's 100% on a hot seat entering the season. So what does he do at quarterback?
That's a factor though. I think that plays 100%. A factor.
100%.
You're on a hot seat. Do you go with a fresh meat that could bag you?
Right.
I think at this point you got to throw whatever you can at the wall and see if it sticks.
I agree.
I picked Martin to start for him. But I think he's on a very short leash. And I don't think they throw Washington out there. I don't think he's ready. But I'm going to go with Martin to start for him.
I'm gonna go with Martin as well, but I'm gonna mark this down. What is it? 44 minutes on March 24th. Malik Washington's gonna play MJ Morris, bro. Freshman year. It's gonna be the same shit. Week 7, they're gonna spot him in when Martin's not playing well. He's gonna get some wild plays. They're gonna give him a couple more plays. There's either gonna be an injury or they're getting blown out, and this guy brings him back, and then they're gonna run just like they did MJ Morris for like 4 or 5 games. Whatever they did after that, I don't know. But I think MJ Morris is gonna take off at Coastal this year. Watch out for that kid.
I agree. Does Champ Long have a chance? No.
I think this kid's hungry, and I think he's gonna be nipping at the heels. If the door is open, they're gonna. I don't think they start him because I don't think Homeboy can risk starting out 0-3, 1-4 type season.
Nah, that's very. And he's a coach I love. He holds his players accountable, but it's
you lost Roman Henby as well,
yep.
So that backfield is new. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you're gonna have to put some weight on your quarterback off the rip. That's another reason why I don't think you start a true freshman. But Justin Martin struggled to start games. It wasn't like he just ran away with it last year. So we'll have to see.
Let's head to Morgantown where Rich Rodriguez is back at the helm at head coach. Who will be the starting quarterback for the Mountaineers?
I went with Nico Machero. I mean, he only started one game last year and substitution for Garrett Green when he was injured. Did pretty well, right? But I do believe they won that game, and I think he brought him back in the 4th quarter. I'm like, the kid has all the intangibles in the short, sample size that we've seen. I don't really trust anybody else in that quarterback room, to be totally honest with you. I think this kid might, in a lot of these battles, I think he might win this one earlier than we think.
Yeah, I got Nico as well. Super athletic kid, kind of fits what Rich Rod likes to do offensive wise, and he has the strongest arm on the team, in my opinion. So I went with Nico as well.
I love it. And last but certainly not least on the list, we're going to head to Boulder. This is something Nino and I have talked about. I can't wait to hear D-Now's take. Who will be the starting quarterback for the Colorado Buffaloes, and will they be the starting quarterback for the duration of the season?
So I started with Salter. I don't think he lasts the whole season because the front half of that schedule is pretty rough. I mean, starting with Georgia Tech, there's a good chance they could be 2-2, 1-3. And I don't trust Salter's arm, so I think they go to Lewis pretty early, like 5 games-ish.
They got a 5-star kid that proved himself on that offensive line last year, and Jordan, whatever his name is,
Seaton?
I forget. Yeah, Seaton. They attacked the portal. They got 3 4-star kids in the portal this year, including center to go along with their left tackle with Seaton plays. Marshall Falk is in that room.
Yeah.
So I don't think Hayden Salter is going to be trying to throw the ball 50 times a game.
So you think they're going to just completely revamp their year to year?
I don't think it was year to year. They fit everything around Shedeur Sanders because of his style of play, right? They wanted to put him on a platform. They wanted to show that his skill set was throwing the ball deep. He can be that quarterback that can handle whatever situation you give him. They barely ran the ball for 2 years in a row after getting shit on. Talked about not running the ball, right? But they also didn't have an offensive line to run the ball, right? I don't think they had those guys. They have those guys up front. They brought in the coaching staff to get. I think that you're going to see more runs. I don't know if it's going to be 60-40, right? Like pass, but or 50-50, however. But you're going to see more by, I think, a good 8 to 10% more runs than you saw the last 2 seasons. And I do believe, from what I see in these spring media pushes that they're putting out there,
for sure,
from Colorado, I don't think that Juju is mature enough. He's already chirping to the defensive guys, where his offensive lineman had to pull him away from a pile already, like in spring game. I don't know. Talent's there, but when it comes to prime, he doesn't just look at Kamani McCoy. He made that 5-star start kid sit for 8-9 weeks before he even saw the field.
Right.
So Caden Salter went there for a reason. I think Caden Salter takes that leap this year. I think that Caden Salter and the Colorado Buffaloes are kind of a perfect segue to Juju, from Shedeur to Juju. The perfect bridge match. He brings the mobility that Sanders didn't really have, right?
Right.
Yep.
But he doesn't have as much of a strong arm, but I think he can spread the ball around the field well. He makes those off-platform throws. A lot of people just going by recency bias. What Salter looked at last year, but if we looked at what Salter looked at 2 years ago, we were putting him in that. Him and Kyron Jones are going to be Cam Ward and Shadow Sanders, right? Those are supposed to be the guys. Both coaches, staffs, and teams kind of shit the bed last season. And both quarterbacks didn't really live up to the hype. I do think both guys come back this year. I think Caden Salter might be top 5. All said and done by the end of the year. I think he could have a top 5 season with what they have in place over there. I think that's my flag plant for the year. I think Caden Salter rebounds very well.
The mental development that he needs to make, there may not be a better place he could go than Boulder to get those one-on-one sessions with Coach.
They set up a run game, then he can just chill, right? Because now you're not getting rushed every down. Like they were coming at this dude every single play last year. They didn't have it. It was just him and his his ability. I think that Colorado was set up for some success. I think people kind of sleeping on it a little bit. They got speed on the outside, right? Both wide receivers are just straight speedsters. Augustus at running back. I think he's going to take. I do truly. If he's not top 5, he's just outside of the 5. I think he has that type of year this year.
Now, I felt like you had a rebuttal or something.
No, I was just going to say, like, if Colorado could do me like one solid and get Salter a normal looking helmet.
With the damn
perfect, it's like not even like on his head when he wears it.
Right now,
it's weird.
It's super weird. I'm interested to see what Salter is looking like in Boulder. Starting our series on our preseason picks for various postseason awards, kicking off with the 2025 recipient of the Davey O'Brien Award for the nation's outstanding quarterback will be whom? Let's start with Nino.
Cade Club.
Give me a dark horse too.
Oh, okay.
Cade, but talk about Cade first. What you think about that, and then we'll go with D-Now's pick.
And think about my pick.
Yeah.
So for me, it's. I think we saw everything come together last year. Down the stretch, we saw the absolute opposite of what we saw the season before. Me and D-Now talked about it. 2 years ago, Dabo was calling plays, and Klubnik was. Whatever he wanted, he was calling. He wasn't even calling a play that was signals in. You could see it. Everybody was checked out. I don't think Dabo and Garrett Riley were seeing eye to eye. But last year, it seemed as though everything was clicking, right? Like you started to hear maybe some rumblings early, but they were a train. They were locomotion going through it, and they came on strong down the end. And Klubnik was a top quarterback last year, right? What did he throw for 3,600 yards? Almost 3,700 yards? 36-6, dude? Like, if you improve an iota, you're looking at 40 and less than 6, let's say around 6 interceptions. That's getting you in New York. That's probably getting your team in the top 5, in the AP poll. That's getting you in the playoff. Well, all those things are check boxes for guys that are going to go to Davey O'Brien, right? They say it's not, but it all is. All those things matter.
Yes, it does.
You put up those numbers, your top 3, when it comes to passing yards, and you're in the top 1, 2 when it comes to touchdown interception ratio, and your team is successful, and you ain't losing, bro. I think with a healthy wide receiver room, another year where they're gonna let Garrett Riley kind of implement himself more into this offense. Dabo seems like he just wants to shut everybody the fuck up now, right? I'm gonna get a guy here and there that I need to get out of Porter. You can shut up. I'm gonna let this guy do a little bit more. You can shut up. I'm gonna keep winning. You can shut up. And
checking off all the boxes.
Yeah. And I truly think that this is the Cade Klubnik. I wanted to say it was going to be Drew Aller. I just don't think I don't have enough faith in him. I think Klubnik has shown me the steps of progression in the past 2 seasons, and I think he has a better arsenal, not just player, coaching staff wise as
well. Yeah, I'm gonna ditto everything Nino just said. Cade is my pick. I mean, realistically, there's 5.
I didn't know who Nino was saying. I already know who you were saying, Nino.
That it could boil down to, but I mean, I've let it known. I think Cade wins the Heisman this year, and normally, if you're in the leader for that, you're going to get every other quarterback award that goes with it. So,
Nino, give me a dark horse.
Let me see. Let me get you.
Well, who you got, KT?
I got Garrett Nussmeier. I think you guys. There's no secret there. Nino made me a believer last year, and I didn't want to be a believer. But yeah.
So I guess while Nino still thinks about his dark horse, can we agree that it's pretty much one of these 5? It's going to be Cade, Garrett, Aller. You could throw Seller in there, and I
Yeah.
would say Sayin as the,
Mhm.
the 5 as of right now,
Mhm.
5 leading candidates.
I would agree. And probably just outside looking in, it's probably Lagway.
Yeah, I mean he could be thrown in for Sayin
Right.
or
Yeah.
Seller.
Not my dark horse.
Who's your dark horse? I have an interesting dark horse.
And
Who's
this is
your
a dark horse because he lost a shit ton of guys in his wide receiver room, but give me Rocco Beck.
Ooh.
Give me Rocco Beck. Hey, give me,
No,
dude.
he's
He's as a returning quarterback. He's top. He was a top 10 dude last year, and he's returning. So if you look at returning production and numbers, he puts himself in the top 5 by default.
Yeah.
But nobody talks about
it.
Yes, I understand he lost some guys, but they have some wide receivers in that room right behind him to come up and in. And they have another tight end to come up and in. I know you like Iowa State.
But
I think he's a dark horse. I don't hear anybody really talking about.
Nah, I got another guy, similar situation, lost his production at wide receiver, Champaign, Illinois. I think Luke Altmaier, depending on how good they look, I think, but they have a favorable schedule in my opinion, and I think if they can get hot, and he's clicking like he was last season, because I didn't see that talent in Luke Altmaier. What he produced last year, I didn't see in him at all. I didn't even think he had a little bit of a dual threat ability either. So that'll be my dark horse. So
can they come up with a year 3 guy? You went from Isaiah Williams to Pat Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a guy to step up this in year 3? Because I think that having a dog at wide receiver has extremely helped their success.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. The kid, what's the kid from West Virginia that transferred there?
Oh, Hudson Carr?
Yeah, I think he's gonna have to be the guy.
Okay. And he was the guy at West Virginia for like the first half, and then it seemed like other dudes started to kind of eat into that room. Garrett Green started running around crazy, and other guys started to get the ball more. So we'll have to see. I know this is a super dark horse.
Rabbit hole time.
I didn't believe in them last year. They kept winning. They were in the top 10 for a while. I think they even got to 8 for a little bit. The Jewish Mormon. Yo, if LJ Martin and they have Tyler Warren 2.0 at tight end over there. Watch out for this kid at tight end. What's his name? Let me just pull it up real quick. This kid is supposed to be the Tyler Warren at BYU. What the hell's his name? Carson Ryan. Right? Utah transfer, Dalton Kincaid 2.0, they say, right? If this kid and LJ Martin stay healthy, Retzlaff it's because now we have a full. You got the kid on the outside wide receiver who showed up last year, almost had 1,000 yards, right? You got running back that we've already seen proven. He's going to his junior season, so he's got another year behind him. Now you have a guy at the tight end, returning pretty much everybody at that offensive line. The kid got better every single game last year. It's not your, conventional spicy looking QB, but if Bryson Daly was in that conversation last year, right? I think that this kid could be in that conversation as an absolute extreme dark horse.
Yeah.
Now, who's your dark horse?
All right, so I'm going to throw out a couple names that I got. They may not be as dark as Mormon. I'm going to start with Eli Holstein. Just coming back from injury, he could have been leading in a lot of awards prior to that. I'm going to throw out Avery Johnson with Kansas State.
Love it. I was high on him last year.
We did debut with him a couple years ago. But I'm going to go with Jaden Maya. I'm going to put out of USC as my dark horse if I have to pick one. I like, after talking with Nino and doing Debbie, I like that wide receiver room. And with Lincoln, he's going to sling it around. So,
can Loverboy, can Mr. Snapchat take a run? I think everybody's kind of out on him. I think Mr. Snapchat, I can't get off Snapchat. I just
Beck.
Miami. Yeah, Carson Beck. I think Mr. Snapchat can. Bro, everybody says Josiah Trader's taking that step. For Josiah Trader to take that step to be one of them dudes in this class, so the guy getting the ball is Beck, right? Everything I see out of spring, it seems as though this ain't even affecting him. She's the one posting videos, mimicking songs about. My man ain't done nothing. My man's going about business like it didn't even affect him.
That's her job. That's her job, though. at the same time.
Right, but you don't see him. You see some of these dudes when they have like high class breakups. Like they go on streams with a guy. He ain't going on no Neon or Playboy Max's stream. Like he ain't doing none of that stuff. So, my man, he's not doing a little mellow ball stuff out there. Like, I think maybe he's built tougher than I thought. I thought he was soft. I thought this kid was going to crumble with all this stuff. It looks like he's loving life. He ain't got no worries.
I mean, in Miami, what's not to love, though?
Right. Yeah. But when you go down there, and they left basketball and came back to basketball. They are Miami, right? They are the faces of the U.
Right.
You just got in trouble with the faces of the U, bro. You're the new guy. A lot of people can't handle that, right? A lot of people would just fold under that pressure. A lot of people, like KT said, might have hit the portal and said, I don't want to deal with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was soft. Maybe he's a little bit tougher than I thought. Yeah. This is something like if this kid goes through this, I know it's a little side piece thing, goes through this and does better, as bad as it sounds, this is something that GMs and people will be like, this kid's tested, bro. Like outside noise don't bother him. Stephen A. Smith's aren't gonna bother him. You know, they say, homeboy's so he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. That won't bother. He can just brush it off and keep going because you hadn't talked about the shoulder, or you had to tear down to Miami, or he goes to Miami, Mr. Loverboy can't keep it in his pants, but he still does his thing, right? Keyshawn Booty couldn't keep it in his pants, but he couldn't perform either. He just performed behind the closed doors. That was it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw out one more name, and then we can wrap it up if you want to. Mark Gronowski.
Ooh, he'd have to have a Bryson Daly type year.
I think he can. He's probably the most athletic quarterback Iowa's had
10 years.
Drew Tate, Brad Banks.
My dog.
You know my guy?
Tate,
Brad Banks. I mean, if he can somehow pull out, this is total touchdowns, 35 touchdowns for Iowa on the ground and in the air.
Mm-hmm.
With Iowa's defense, he throws up 3,200 yards passing, maybe 800 rushing. I
don't think people understand how gaudy these numbers are in Iowa City.
No, if he can put numbers up in Iowa City, he has to be top 5 in almost every sort of quarterback award.
Absolutely.
Because if that's the case, there's a chance, and this is going to sound super homer, but there's a chance Iowa's 10-2, 11-1, 12-0. Like that's just the fact.
That would be incredible. Let's stay.
He's got to get down.
Homer.
He's got to get down though. He can't be running and taking those.
Yeah, he can't do that stuff he did at South Dakota.
No way.
Big Ten will eat him alive. But if he can slide or get out of bounds,
Let's stay with this homer for a second. Grayson James, what are you hearing?
Oh, he's QB1.
Yeah. I mean,
but
how's he looking?
He's looking good. That looks good. I'm hearing that after today's pro day, Ozzie Trapillo is probably going to be a Patriot, which I love to hear. Patriots Vrabel, the OC.
2?
What?
Round 2?
Yeah. Oh no, 3. Round 3. He'll be like early round 3, top of.
I've seen some wild mocks where he's like top 30 pick.
Yeah, he's
so.
There are teams that are nipping at it. From what I hear, he's getting a lot. He's really good in the run game. He's a really good offensive lineman in the run game. So, like, if a team that runs heavy, like a Baltimore, a team like that, he could be a guy that just happens to. You didn't think he was going to go there, but that was their need, and he filled the role. But the Patriots brought 4 dudes with them. Elliot Wolf was with Vrabel. Like they somebody there and BC, and it's not as a Rock Boo. He didn't even do anything. He just did interviews. I don't think as a Rock was going to the Patriots. Unfortunately, I've come to. I think I'm getting Travis Hunter, bro.
Yeah,
and I think he's playing wide receiver. You want to know why? Because they just signed that dude from Detroit.
Oh, Davis.
So you have Carlton Davis, you have Christian Gonzalez. He may play defense, right? Which is fine. But now you have I hear a lot of people say that Travis Hunter is the best wide receiver in the class if he was to play wide receiver 100%. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Matthew Golden.
He might be the twitchiest wide receiver in the group. He may be one of the after the catch. He might be a top guy after the catch. I don't know if he's the best overall wide receiver in the group, but he is a great piece for Drake May to kind of grow with for a long time because he brings that separation aspect to him, right? He can He can play all over the field. He has the speed. He makes the wow factor. They have nothing. They haven't attacked that. They put all their marbles into Chris Godwin. It didn't hit, right? Dude took $20 million less to stay at Tampa Bay. So it looks like it's Travis Hunter for New England, but I have to live with it. I guess it all depends on where Abdul Carter kind of goes, right? Like certain teams don't need Abdul Carter.
Is he a linebacker or is he an end?
He's an end.
I think he's a linebacker.
And what scheme?
I don't think he can put his hand in the dirt.
So you think he's a 3-4? He's a 3-4.
He's a 3-4.
Okay.
Oh yeah, but he played on. I know he played linebacker, but he was on like he.
No, at Penn State he had his hand in the ground.
Yeah. He did.
But at the next level, I don't think.
You don't think he can play like Parsons? You don't think he can play like Micah Parsons?
No, and I'm not dogging you. I think that's a lazy comp.
Well, I just say that because it's a guy who probably shouldn't play on the line. He should be a linebacker. I don't think Micah Parsons belongs on the defense.
And I think you see a lot of teams run at Micah Parsons too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that he belongs as an end. I think he should be like
he
the outside linebacker.
He used his athleticism.
Yeah, a lot of them make that switch because of the money. You know, you're gonna get more money. You know, as a DN.
Oh, yeah, as an end. Yeah, because you know, that's the guy. Because you're doing.
But I don't think he has the frame to put his hand consistently in the ground.
So like, it all depends. And I would take Carter, but I think he plays end if he comes to New England. I don't think he's a linebacker. I think Harold Landry's your linebacker. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what scheme do you guys run? You guys 3-4-4-3?
4-3 normally.
Okay.
Normally, but they've been trying to dibble and dabble and switching it up for the last 5 years. Even when Belichick was there last season, he kind of tried to. I think he went to a 3-4 in the preseason. It was like, yeah, this ain't working. When he tried to go West Coast offense, I think he tried to go 3-4 on the defense, and it got squashed real quick. But yeah, I Grayson James is QB1. Shaker Rising, the freshman, I'm hearing he got a big arm. The kid from Alabama. If Grayson James slips up at all, I'm hearing Dylan Longerin is it and ready to go. But the tight end that transferred from Alabama, they got a real big tight end room over there.
You wanna tease your new show?
Beantown Brew.
Yes,
Beantown Brew. That's gonna be my my Boston College show moving forward. It's going to be a show that's 9:00 in the morning. We're going to be in. So that's why, catch on the brew. But yeah, it's going to be something a little different. We're going to be trying here over at the CFB Nation.
I love it, man. This has been a fun episode, man. One of the fastest hours I have. Always love when D-Now's on the show, and the people love when D-Now on the show as well, man. Tell them, you guys' social media hashtags and where they can find y'all at.
Go ahead, Nino.
All right, it's at _ Nino Brown _ and anything CFB Nation. You can find me.
Yeah, you can find all my stuff at DNow06. Posting mostly Iowa stuff. Unfortunately, someone's got to love them.
I think next week we get the opportunity to do some previews. We haven't done previews in a while. I think there's a couple spring games coming up the following weekend, so we'll do some previews. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, you already know what it is. One time for the one time. We appreciate y'all. Yes, sir. Today I am the governor of college football. Yes, sir. The mayor of college football, aka Downtown Nino Brown.